जब से तुम नजर में आ चुकी
थोड़ा वॉल्यूम कम कर।
हम तो हो गए समा धीरे धीरे खालमा अब तो होना है वही जो बनाए जाना हम तो हो गए समा खालमा अब तो होना है वही जो बनाए जाना हमसे ना कभी हम तो हैं समय हम तो हैं जमीन हमसे ना कभी हम तो हो गए समा धीरे धीरे खालमा हमसे ना कभी हम तो हो गए समा धीरे धीरे खालमा हमसे ना कभी उड़ गए
The analogy I use a lot is we're running a Christmas tree farm and all you're doing is cutting down trees. Who is planting the tree?
हमरी से परनीत आ जाओ ना तो सही ऐसी मन की है सच्ची तुम हो सितारों की भरे हुई गलती सॉरी हमने गाया तुम क्यों सुनी किसकी मर्जी जो थे अब तो आए जा हमको ले जाए जा 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 देखो आने जाने वाले सारे साथ खड़े हैं कभी ना कभी मैंने भी तो ऐसे वैसे ख्वाब देखे हैं कि हम तो आस पास सास में और रात साथ बात करे क्यों ना रह लो ना अब तो आए जा हमको ले जाए जा अब तो आए जा हमको ले जाए जा अब तो आए जा हमको ले जाए जा अब तो आए जा हमको ले जाए जा
Good evening to everyone present here. Hope you are doing fine. I, Shreya Amin, along with Shruti Gandhi, will be your host for the day. We welcome you all to the Masterclass session on cracking the JPMC interviews. Now, moving forward, CSI is Thadomal Shani Engineering College's Mumbai student chapter. Every year, CSI-TSEC conducts student activities including workshops, seminars, conferences, technical computer competitions, training programs, and industrial visits. Today, we all have gathered here in order to gain amazing experience from our TSEC current TE batch for the academic year 21-22, who have received commendable internship in JP Morgan. First, I would like to introduce Professor Monica Tolani. She is an assistant professor, training and placement officer, and Dean Revenue Generation. She is pursuing a PhD and has experience of over 5 years. She specializes in artificial intelligence, databases, data mining, big data analytics, and software engineering. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Shreya. Thank you for a short and sweet introduction. That is what is expected. At the outset, I welcome everyone for this particular event, and special thanks to CSI for always accepting my request on a very short notice. It was a Friday when I said, Meer, I want to do it up. And Dishant and me both coordinated at that particular point of time, and this event was being conducted. So I really thank CSI again and again for helping out the students for it. Now, this session has been invited for all current second year students who have been participating or will be a part of JP Morgan's process. So the correct people from me telling over there what is expected, if the people have already gone through that particular event, if they start giving you an idea, then that definitely will help. Now, I'm very shocked to see there are 407 students who have registered for JPMC event. That is what the count which has been gone from the college side. But I could see only 202 participants, and that too including the team of the CSI and my speakers as well. So that is a little disappointing from the part, but yes, I'll request the host to give me the attendance because it was very clearly instructed. The ones who are aspiring for the JPMs or registered should attend. The ones who are not registering, that means they are not sincere or not they are focused about it. So college has to think about the candidature before sending them for the code for good process. So whoever is the host, I'll request them definitely please give me the attendance list. I have to seriously take an action for it because CSI is walking an extra mile, conducting events for their students for their benefit, but students are not taking it very seriously about it. So serious action from the college end is also expected. So I'll request the CSI team for it. And I'll request all the speakers who are going to speak about today's event completely brief student about what was the process, how it got conducted. Apart from if anyone from the CSI team also participated in the last year JPMC process but did not get selected for the process, I request them also to brief their experience about so that students get aware about what all the process about. And believe me, the internship is 50K per month. It's not a less amount, almost half, more than your what is your fees per year. You can do it by just gaining a particular internship out of the college. Apart from JPMC, we have few more coming into picture, but definitely JPMC is the very first to come on campus for the internship, and they are coming 1 year prior on what they hired. Basically, you will be doing it in the next year, but hiring is done 1 year before, and rather I say not even 1.5 year before. So this is how the complete process is. And I thank CSI for helping me always for conducting all the events for the college. Thank you very much, Shreya.
Thank you so much, Monica ma'am. You have always been a support to CSI. So here I would like to invite Vinisha from IT department, who has not only bagged the internship with JPMC, but also was one of the winners of Code for Good. Now I would like to invite Vinisha to please enlighten everyone with your journey.
Hi. So yeah, I'll tell you the process that we all went through. So there were basically 3 rounds. We had coding round and then the pre-recorded interview, and the last was CFG, that is the hackathon. So coding there were basically 2 questions that was asked to us, and it was held on the hacker rank. So from what I remember, the first question was reversing a binary number. Pretty easy. It was using a linked list. The other one was also a medium level question using array. Not very difficult. The coding questions were actually very easy. The time provided was sufficient. You can easily do coding wale questions. It's not बहुत अलग या कुछ. And then उसके बाद we had pre-recorded interview. They asked only behavioral questions. कोई technical questions कुछ नहीं पूछा गया था. बस behavioral questions जैसे कि like इस situation में तुमने क्या किया था? तुम्हारे team में if someone's not working, how will you make them work? Those sort of questions. So it was held on a platform called Higher View. Now, before starting the interview, there's a demo question they provide that you can attempt. Try attempting that. Check तुम्हारा audio video सही चल रहा है कि नहीं. And जितना मुझे याद है, I remember we got 30 seconds to prepare for each questions. Also, for interview ना 2 attempt मिलता है. लेकिन try करो कि first attempt में you're submitting your answers, because you never know if you're going for the second attempt. There's a mighty good chance ki, they put you down the priority list. And then after you're done with both the rounds, then they shortlist the students. So if you're registering for JPMC, you have to attempt both the rounds, like the pre-recorded interview as well. And in the pre-recorded interview, there's a pre-recorded questions. So there's no interviewer sitting तुम्हारे सामने. Also, surprisingly, all of us had same questions. So किसी ने तुमसे पहले attempt कर लिया है ना, तो उन लोगों से पूछ लो questions. And then after the shortlisting, we were selected for the hackathon. Now hackathon ke liye na, they asked us our preferences and the tech stacks that we work with, and they asked us to rate us. A day or two before the hackathon, we were allotted with the teams, and the team was of about 6 to 7 members. हमें बस team number और team members का नाम दिया था. We did not know their college or anything. So we tried finding our team members on LinkedIn and searched for them. We got in contact with all of them. We made a WhatsApp group जहाँ पे we asked us about हमारा tech stack, क्या projects किए हमने, and all that stuff. And there's a mighty good chance कि तुम्हारे tech stacks बिल्कुल complement नहीं करेंगे. Like someone could be working with Mon, you could be working with Django and SQL. बहुत अलग-अलग हो सकता है. Now, one of the problem that we had was हमारा team बन गया था, and then hackathon के एक दिन पहले Slack पे they told us कि we're changing your teams again. So we had to do the entire procedure वापस से सबसे बात करना and all that stuff. But try to have that conversation. It's very important to know कि कौन क्या किस चीज में comfortable है. काम बांटना बहुत ज़्यादा easy हो जाता है उससे. And then hackathon का ना, on the day of the hackathon they'll release the problem statement. So and problem statement का allotment first come first serve basis पे होता है. So now that you've already decided, like try deciding tentatively कि कौन सा tech stack तुम लोग work करोगे. तो अगर तुम्हें Node आता है and two of your teammates work on Django, so you'll obviously have to switch from Node to Django. So you have 2 days to learn, at least learn the basics of Django. And कोई scene नहीं है. मेरे team में किसी को भी Django नहीं आता था, but we were still working on Django. So both of my teammates actually learn Django मेरे साथ. हमारे पास time होता था तो we would actually sit and ऐसे screen share करके basics, models and all that stuff हमने सीखा है. तो be more than willing to learn नया stuff. And ऐसा कुछ नहीं कि अगर तुम्हें आता नहीं तो तुम select नहीं होगे. तुम्हें दिखाना है कि you're very willing to learn. इतना. And then problem statement, try to decide on the problem statement very early. जैसे क्या and try taking a problem statement जिसके features बहुत feasible हो तुम्हारे लिए. Don't go बहुत ज़्यादा एकदम ये बहुत difficult लग रहा है, let's do this. Also, last year what we had is we had 9 problem statements and each problem statement had a different winner. So it's a pretty good thing actually. तो उसी के लिए काफी सोच समझ के problem statement लेना. And then each teams were actually allotted 2 mentors who monitored all us while we were working. So हमारा since online था, we were on Zoom call, all of us were on Zoom call, and the mentors were with us 24/7. Like even when you're working in different breakout rooms, they're monitoring कि तुम लोग क्या कर रहे हो. And these mentors have a huge contribution selection में. Like, तो तुम लोग जो भी काम कर रहे हो ना, तो दिखाओ. If you're working on something छोटा भी ना, तो बोलो कि तुम कर रहे हो इस पे. Do not work background में. And have active participation in conversations में when you're pitching your features. Show कि हाँ तुम्हें interest है, तुम कर रहे हो कुछ सामने से. And मेरे case में ना, my mentors were having like normal casual conversations कि college कहाँ है, क्या scene है college का and all that. But for few of my friends, उन्हें ना ऐसे technical stuff भी पूछा था, oops, and then वो लोग project में क्या use कर रहे हैं, उनका कितना participation है. तो थोड़ा लक भी होता है, बट ट्राई टू बी एक्टिव पूरा समय जूम में. डोंट बी ऑन म्यूट. जो बोल रहे हो अनम्यूट करके बोलो, चलेगा. सुपर चिल वैसे. एंड ऐसा कुछ नहीं कि जो टीम्स फाइनल जाती है उसमें से स्टूडेंट सिलेक्ट होता है. जैसे एवरी टीम से अबाउट 2 to 4 स्टूडेंट सिलेक्ट होते ही है. एंड सो डोंट ट्राई टू वन अप ईच अदर, because end of the day you're working together. Thoda team spirit dikhao, try to take command when no one's working. And I think that should be good. And again, for winning the code for good, the most important thing is pitching. Tumhara project mein na 24 hours ka hackathon hai. You can only do so much. So while you're pitching, we actually had to make a video for the pitch. So while you're actually preparing the video, you can do thoda sa jugaad. It's all good. लेकिन जब पिच कर रहे हो तब थोड़ा भी ऐसे डाउट नहीं होना चाहिए तुम्हारे चेहरे पे. यू शुड बी वेरी कॉन्फिडेंट अबाउट व्हाट यू आर सेइंग. एंड आई थिंक जितने ज्यादा फीचर्स इंप्लीमेंट कर सकते हो करो. they're not going to actually check your backend, they're not going to see your code or something, but तुम्हारे फीचर्स की, ओ तुमने ये किया है, so they only see that. So it's not very difficult winning code for good. It's easy, and that's all.
Now that we have understood your efforts for this, let's move on to some questions that participants have asked. So first of all, how did you manage your time, like college and JP Morgan both preparation?
I mean college and preparing for JP Morgan, right? Yeah, so see, college हमारा तो online था, so we actually had lots of time doing the CP, DSA questions and all that thing. तो we like college हुआ, उसके बाद में even after we doing time pass, दिन का at least 1-1.5 घंटा तो मिलता ही था problem solving के लिए. तो I would actually शाम का समय do problem solving, and then I think that's all. And we were working on multiple projects tabhi. Since lockdown tha, we got काफी time, so we had lots of projects in hand, mini project plus extra projects. So yeah, working on projects also helped me a lot.
How did you prepare for the coding questions?
Okay, the coding questions के लिए now जैसे JP में ना, they only ask you easy to medium DSA के questions. So hacker rank, hacker earth, lead code, ये सब काफी होता है. तो जो DSA के basic topics है, binary trees, array, linked list, ये सब अच्छे से कर लो, searching and sorting वो सब. And they only ask you basic questions, बहुत तोड़ questions नहीं आते JP केस में. And then I first write the logic and then start with the coding. Or when you're actually writing your code, try to write the skeleton of your code in a notebook. Like try to jot it down. So isse na you remember the logic for a longer period of time. And then once you've written the code, try to go back to the same question and revise it on a regular basis, at least till the coding round. Now that you only have about 1 to 2 weeks. And इससे you'll know कि हाँ तुम्हें ये question में इतना इतना हाँ याद है. So while implementing it, you won't take much time. Also you can SD sheets वो सब उठा सकते हो.
Thank you for that. And one last question: how important is competitive coding?
JP Morgan के लिए तो actually CP is not very important. Like for other companies that come, CP is important. For JP छोड़ सकते हो CP. Like अगर तुमने DSA किया है अच्छे से, जैसे CP में बहुत ऐसे lengthy scenario based questions आते हैं, जैसे कोड शेफ पे होता है. JP mein they literally asked us reversing binary using linked list, not very difficult. And the other question was, I guess, something related to I don't know, like rearranging arrays maybe. And I think lots of us were able to clear both the questions. So basic DSA kar lo अच्छे से, that's enough. Abhi ke liye to it is.
And in this question, the speed of solving question is important or the approach is important?
I mean, JP Morgan ka criterion, we don't really know. It's very ambiguous actually. So there were lots of students जिन्होंने दोनों question implement किया था, and they were in shortlisted, and there were lots of those जिन्होंने barely एक question and few test cases किए थे दूसरे question के. So we don't really know कि what criterion do they follow.
Thank you so much, Vinisha, for your wiseful words. I hope that it will help everyone. So next up we have Isha from IT department. Let's hear about her efforts throughout the journey by asking her some questions.
Hello everyone, I'm Isha and I'm a select for a summer intern in JP Morgan Chase. So I'll be answering the questions that were asked to me.
So the very first question is, what kind of questions are asked to you in the coding round?
Yeah, so the questions asked in the coding round are pretty easy. Like Vinisha said, you'll get problems on arrays, strings, linked lists. Our first problem was on arrays, and we were given a circular array and we had to find the position of a given element from a particular index. So, and our second problem was on linked list, and we had to convert a binary number into a decimal format. So both these problems were pretty easy if you know a little bit of coding.
So how does this process actually work to get into JP Morgan?
No, I think Vinisha has given a pretty nice description about the entire process, but I'll just go through it in short. The first round is a coding round on HackerRank. You have to solve 2 medium level problems of 50 marks each. This round was pretty easy, and try to clear as many test cases as you can. And you get the results, like the interview round is approximately a month after this. And in the interview round, it was on Highview platform, and we were asked 2 HR questions. And one thing I like is that if you go for the second chance in any of these questions, they delete the first chance, so you can't go back. So like Vinisha said, try to do best in your first chance itself. And the hackathon, basically after the second round, they give the results approximately 15 or 20 days, or I think even 1 month after the video interview round. And then the hackathon is again after 1 month, so you get pretty much time to prepare for this. And the first 2 days is the orientation, where they give you they tell you all about the rules, and they also teach you GitHub. And then there's a 24-hour hackathon, and yeah, that's it.
So what is the duration for code for good?
The duration for code for good, it's the hackathon, or the hackathon is for 24 hours, and then you have the sessions before it. So it's basically the entire process is for 4 or 5 days.
So were the code for good? Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. What is exactly expected in code for good for the first round?
Yeah. So the first round, like they don't really expect a lot from you. They'll only ask you basic questions, because even they know you're in second year, and you all only know basic coding. So just give your best and try to clear both these problems. And if you all know data structures, like I'm sure you all had data structures in your third semester, at least the IT people. So try to revise those concepts of stacks, queues, and linked lists. That would be enough.
So the next question was, what are the kind of internships provided in JPMC?
So under JPMC, they provide you with a software development internship to the Code for Good process.
Thank you so much, Isha, for your fruitful and insightful words. So, next up we have Darsh, if he has got his network connection back.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Darsh. So, I would like to ask you some questions. So, the very first question is, how would you carry on with your internship and improve yourself in various technical skills?
So as of now, actually in JP Morgan, we do not have an option. They will assign us something. We have given a priority list, but it is not very sure that if I'll get what I want. So basically, I am going to do API development, and I'm more interested in backend as of now. I'm looking to get into cybersecurity as well. So not sure if I'll be able to get those domains in JP Morgan, but that is what the plan is for now.
Add up something to the selection process that what Isha and Vinisha told us already.
So basically, if I'm not wrong, you will have your coding test in next 15, 20 days. So you guys of time, so don't worry too much about the test. Just do stuff like arrays, strings, stacks, and queues. I don't think they will get into trees and graphs. So set the priority. First, complete the basic topics, and you'll be good to go. And the video interview will happen in next month or 2 months. So the shortlisting is done after 2 rounds. The most important thing about the hackathon is you need to show soft skills. Even if you are lagging in technical skills, it won't matter a lot. You still need to show that you are a team player. You need to help your player teams. If any teammate is lagging, if he doesn't know something, try to help him. And you need to make sure that mentor is seeing everything. It is very important that he knows that you are contributing. To make sure that happens, and keep your video on all the time and be online all the time for that 24 hours.
So can you please explain how did you crack the each level of the aptitude test?
The round one, right?
Yeah.
Coding test. So for coding test, I did not prepare a lot. I knew arrays, strings, stacks, and queues, but on a hacker rank, and that was it.
So what technologies did you master in while doing this process for JPMC?
Right. So I've worked with HTML, CSS, PHP, Node.js, Express, and Flask. So the idea was I was sure that most popular technologies for backend were Flask, Django, and Express. So people don't use Spring Boot because they are not aware of it by the end of second year. So you don't need to do all the things, but either you can try to master one backend technology and one front end technology. You don't need to master it, just go through it. Even if you choose vanilla JS, that is good to go to. uh, there is a chance that you know something. Let's take an example. You know Flask, but your teammates know Express. They prefer JavaScript based technologies. So in that case, you'll have to move to front end. But again, you need JavaScript for the front end as well. So I'll say if you can do JavaScript, that will be good. And if you want to do backend, Python is good also. So do HTML, CSS for the backend or any other technology. That is fine as well. Just try to understand that if you show that people are fixated on one technology, and if you show that you are flexible to work with, it will show good on your part.
Shreya, I guess Darsh have some internet issue, so you can continue with the next questions.
Okay, so next up we have Kevin Masalia. So, Kevin, the first question for you is, if someone is not good at programming, how can he crack the interview?
So right now, if we see like you all have your coding test in probably a week or two. So if you all want to start right now, what you all can do is go to Geeks for Geeks. Many people have written their past experiences and they have put in what questions they were asked. So you all can go from there and refer those because JP actually asks very simple questions compared to Deutsche Bank and this thing Kotak also.
Okay, so the next question is, what else can a student do to get ahead of his peers, to have an extra edge over them?
So to have an extra edge in terms of the internship with JP Morgan, you all can start participating in hackathons, because the final round for JP Morgan is hackathon, on which you are basically judged how, if you are a team player or how you manage your skills, even if you don't know the tech stack that well, but are you flexible, as Darsh mentioned. So if you are flexible enough to go learn another tech stack in the middle of an hackathon and help your team out, that really looks good. And the mentors noted down as well ki, you are a team player, so for that you need to have some experience of an hackathon. You all can start from there.
So specifically, how and what should a person, how and what should they start preparing for the coding test specifically? I guess they mean the platforms and all.
So for the platform, what I had referred was HackerRank, but now people are shifting to Lead Code. So if you have the time and you are asking for future tests, you all can go to Lead Code and practice. And just for this JP Morgan test, as I mentioned, you can refer Geeks for Geeks and past experiences of people.
Okay, so the next question is, what will be the objective of the internship?
So what do you mean by the objective of the internship?
I guess the person means like what's your designation or something like that.
So right now we are given some roles. We have to rank those roles, and then we'll be getting our internship profile. So we have various roles, like in cybersecurity, you have in banking. You all can rate those roles and you will get an internship based on that. This will happen after once you are selected.
Okay. The next question is, how much time do you get to solve the CQ questions?
So I guess we had an 1 hour for 2 questions, but the 2 questions were pretty easy. And if you have referred past questions and solved some computer programming questions, you all can easily solve those questions. And our test was online, so it was pretty much easier for us. We had to just sit at home and give the test. So,
Could you elaborate more about the coding round?
so in the coding round, there were 2 questions. I don't remember the question specifically, but one was like something related to reverse or binary string or something. So that was an easy question. You just had to solve it, and the main thing was the time complexity. You had to fit it in a time complexity. Otherwise, all test cases weren't passing. So you just had to take care of that. But the coding questions for JP were quite easy. And there are, I guess, 2 questions in the chat. Can I answer those?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So the one question is, does JP look closely at the resumes, and is there a certain way to make them for the same? Okay. So yeah, JP looks at the resume. So what happened with me personally is that in my last round hackathon, whoever my mentor was the vice president of the company. So he called me in another interview room and he looked at my resume and started asking me questions related to my resume, what tech stack I had used, about my projects. So I think you all shouldn't lie on the resume just a bit also, because they could just easily know, because he asked me to explain each and every project that I had gone through. So yeah, and JP specifically looks for roles on Java, because they still use Java. So I was asked on I had done a mini project in the third semester. So I was asked many questions on Java and JDBC connection in that process. So, and how are the problem statements assigned in round 3? First come first. So can you elaborate? So like we were presented with 10 problem statements, and then we had to rate each problem statement, like this is our first preference, second preference, third preference, and you had to fill a Google form. Based on the Google form, on the first come first serve basis, like the fastest response, you get the preference number. So if you are the fastest, you'll get your first preference. Otherwise, you might be getting your last preference as well. For us, what happened is, because so in the problem statements also, we were assigned a problem statement, and after 15 minutes they said the results are wrong, and then we were assigned a different set of problem statements. So that was also a thing that happened with us during the hackathon. So yeah, it is a stressful process, but just try to have a calm head. I guess that's it for the question on the chat.
Okay, I guess that sorts this thing. We'll move on to our next speaker, Parinda Parmani.
Yeah,
Parinda,
hi. Yeah, am I audible?
yeah.
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah.
Okay, hi Parinda. So the first question for you is, what are the skills required by the company and how to develop those skills?
Okay. So I talk about the non-technical skills. So I tell you, JPMC is one organization who looks for leaders. Like they emphasis a lot on hiring people, on hiring students who have excellent communication and leadership skills. They believe that they'll hire the leaders and they'll teach them, they'll mold them into good technical persons. So I'll tell you that first you need to develop your technical skills. Once you're done with it, because those are very easy to develop, like you only need to do a few DSA problems, like all of my other friends have mentioned, on array, strings, and linked list basically. And then I highly recommend that you should start improving your communication skills. Firstly, you should develop a bit of confidence, and you should be bold enough to speak in a group of people, because apart from the normal interview process, during the hackathon, many mentors have conducted one-on-one phone call interviews. Now in that interview, they'll judge you on your speaking skills. They'll obviously look at your resume and ask you questions on that. But I'll tell you what, my mentors, we were on the call for 2 hours and they asked me everything about everything that I've done, not just technical skills. They also wanted to know what my hobbies were, what my interests were. And a smart thing that you can do for cracking this round is that you give them much and more about your interest and hobbies. You tell them that yes, you do have the technical skills, but apart from that, you're also capable enough for leading a particular team, and you're a good team player. So I think those will be the top skills that I would say that you need.
Okay, so continuing on that note, there's a question on how should a person improve their communication skills?
Okay, so the very cliched answer could be that you stand in front of the mirror and talk about anything, any random thing every day. I know this is very stereotypical, but this helps. This actually helps. Other thing that you can do is start talking to your friends in English, because when you converse in English in your everyday conversations, when it takes place in English, you develop a sense of you develop confidence, and it is real. I will say from my personal experience that start engaging with seniors, with professors. This is the daily tasks that you can do. Apart from this, take part in various events. So that will help you develop a holistic personality, which the recruiters actually want.
Okay. So the next question that we have for you is if you could elaborate more on the timeline of your entire process.
The timeline for the interviews, all of the interviews, right?
Yeah, like the coding round and then how did the...
Okay, so the webinar that we had recently for the full-time role, during that, the HR personals, they shared this one sheet that I'll share with you guys if you want. So it is written that we apply for Code for Good in the first week of March. Same had, I think we started in Feb, and then around approximately after 2 weeks later, we had the coding round. So I'd say 1st March is the application. So 3rd week of March you'll have the coding round. Now for us, I think in April somewhere we gave the higher view round, that is the HR interview, behavioral questions wala. And they took around 10 to 15 days to get back with the shortlisted students. So for 24 batch, I think last week of March, the HR interview would be in last week of March, and then the final shortlisted ones, that is the students who will go on for Code for Good hackathon. That list will come around 4th week, I think last week of April, and the hackathon would take place in around after our semester exam. So that is last week May or first week June. This would be in parallel with the full-time roles also. So yeah, that's the timeline.
Okay. So the next question is, with someone who has really less time right now, so how should they prioritize and focus on what aspects exactly to ace the interview?
Okay, so considering that we all have we have to attend college offline, I would say do your academics, give priority to that, then come home, freshen up, and start doing daily just solve one question of DSA. You don't even need to do CP in detail, in depth. Just do a few questions on arrays, strings, and linked list. Max, you could go to trees, but that is the only thing that you'll need. Now, this is the first step. Once you do this, side by side, prioritize your communication skills as well. Now you'll get the result if you are selected for the Code for Good or not in around April, like we discussed. So after you get to know that yeah, you have been shortlisted, I feel that is where your actual preparation starts. So our seniors, they guided us that there are two approach. One, just believe in yourself and believe in your luck that whatever tech stack your teammates will have, you learn it during the hackathon day, during the hackathon duration, or else take the risk, take the difficult path of learning everything that is available. Like not in detail, obviously, but just touching the basics so that if you know the basics during the hackathon, you can learn it. So I'll tell you what I did. During my second year, I was doing machine learning and I did not focus on development as such. But for the hackathon, all of my seniors, they strictly told me that I need to stop doing machine learning and I need to develop a few of front end and back end techs as well. So I started off with backend because it take a lot of time and it needs a bit of a deeper understanding. So what you can do is that after you get your results, you start with backend. You select anything that you want. If you are someone who's comfortable with JavaScript, go with Node. But I was someone who loved Python, so I went with Django and Flask. I did Flask in Django in detail, and then I jumped to front end. So no need to do React or any EA, but if given that you don't know JavaScript, so I did not know JavaScript, so I ignored React at that time and I stayed with vanilla. So I did HTML and CSS a week before the hackathon. So this would help me in doing the front end. Back end, I told you, you need to do Django or Flask or anything. And then I would suggest that also learn a bit, just the basics of Android. Or if you do not want to do Android, you can Java in particular or Kotlin. You should really learn the basics of Flutter, because it is very easy to learn it, very easy to grasp. And knowing just the basics, you can talk about it during the hackathon. So like I said, the recruiters, they focus on people who are extremely confident. So given that you know the terms, you know how the technology works, you can talk about it and you can make up things. You can basically you can sell yourself. So I think yeah, that should be your aim after you get to know that you're selected. Before that, just technical and communication.
Okay, that was a great answer. So the next question is like, the next question basically states what are the skill sets to show during interview process. I guess that person means to say that we all have the good and the bad. So what would you suggest that we should highlight?
I would say you should not ignore your weaknesses. Start with your weaknesses, but then mold it into your strengths. So tell them that you did this, you did that. So I started off my phone call interview with telling my mentor that I'm not comfortable with JavaScript, but yes, I do know the basics and I can easily learn those tech stacks that would be required. So you can do that. So start off with the weaknesses, but then do not focus to elaborate and to not exaggerate, I would say, but yeah, to elaborate on your strengths. So tell them how you love coding in Python, um, how you can do anything given to you, how you are a quick learner, you can grasp technologies, and you're very curious. You need to show them that you are extremely curious and motivated to learn anything and everything. That is what they're willing to know. Just if, let's say, you are someone who loves coding in Python, but you have a project and a team who is pure Java related, so you need to tell them that, okay, even if I don't know it, I'm open to learning it. So I would say this is the like flexibility, and yeah, flexibility. You should show that you are flexible enough. Yeah, the main skill.
Okay, so the next I've got a doubt. Can we solve the problem statement in Python?
Yeah, I think it's for the test, the coding round. I'm supposing that this is related to the first round. So the coding round is conducted on HackerRank. So you can code and you can use any language of your preference. I also, I think, yeah, I submitted both of my answers in Python only.
And to add to that, like any of the competitive coding rounds in any companies allow all the languages.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, any of your preference. Yeah, correct.
Okay, so the next question is, do we need to have previous internships in order to get the JPMC internship?
This is a difficult question, but I don't think so. So the mentors, the recruiters, they are so sweet and understanding. They treat you as pure freshers, and they'll be amazed to even know that the student that they are in touch with is someone who is interested in AI and all the buzzwords. They're going to just simply treat you as someone who knows only C programming and maybe the basics of web development. So it's great if you have internships, if you have work experience. Do not forget to highlight it. Do not forget to talk about it. But it's okay even if you don't have it. I think even I had just one basic a social media marketing internship when I had applied for JP Morgan. And there are, believe me when I say, there are people in the hackathon who do not even know how to code in C programming, but even they have gotten selected. So it is not completely technical. It is how well you can sell yourself, I would say. So these are the factors that we should not consider. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Parinda. All of your answers were really great. I guess even I'm gonna take a couple of tips from those.
Yeah, thanks, Shreya.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So moving on, we have Jash Makhija with us.
Hi guys.
Hi Jash. Okay, so we'll start with the question. So the first question is, how do I prepare for the HR interview part of this interview?
Okay, so by the HR interview, I guess that you all are talking about the second round, right? The interview which is recorded. So I guess as everyone said, for the interview round, all you need to be is confident, be true to yourself. As Parinda mentioned, try practicing certain answers beforehand. So like certain common questions which I made a note was about your strengths, your weaknesses, your leadership skills. So like maybe you can describe something on those lines and like try preparing short answers for the same. Try recording all the answers and like try listening to them so that you can improve upon them. And I guess that's the thing. And wear formal clothes, that's pretty important because that makes a good impression.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on, we have the question to what is the weightage of projects when it comes to interviews? Like,
okay, so now it depends. It all depends on the mentor and the skills, what skills you have. So for me personally, when I was giving the mentor round, the interview was more focused on my projects and what I had done and implemented in all of them. So yeah, good projects do matter because you get to learn a lot. And in the hackathon times also, it helps you because once you have worked on previous projects, you have some experience. Try like working on different tech stacks. That's what I did before the hackathon. So it does add value to it. But if you have like good enough skill sets and not that many projects, also you can answer basic questions. That's more than enough.
okay, we have this one question from the chat box. Is it okay to show non-technical internships? in our
Okay, yeah.
resume?
I guess as Parina mentioned, they do not completely focus on your internships. It's more about your skill set and how you can answer the question. So like try to highlight whatever skills you have, and soft skills do matter. So if there are non-technical internships also, that do count because that have value to them.
Okay. The next question is basic requirements to crack any interview. I guess he means that as a beginner, like what would you base your fundamentals on to crack
Okay,
any interview?
so I guess as I mentioned earlier, like one of the basic thing is that if you're not that comfortable with speaking in English or something, you can try communicating with your friends, start having daily topics on which you can actually speak with them, and try reading up some stuff so that this will actually help you gain knowledge. And as I mentioned earlier, try with some basic HR questions, which is about your strengths and weakness and leadership skills. So I guess if you can prepare that much also, it's more than enough for the second round of JP Morgan.
Okay. So the next question is, apart from competitive coding, is there any other domain to focus on?
Okay, so if you have already done, you're very comfortable and you have been doing competitive coding for a pretty long time, I'll say that focus on your development skills, because in the Code for Good hackathon, that is what actually matters. And if you are good with it, so it actually helps a lot. So you can try with different tech stacks if you are comfortable in that. Also, maybe like you are very comfortable with Django, Flask, so maybe try going to the Merge stack and try seeing some projects out there. This, taking into consideration that you are already comfortable with something, I'll suggest that have one tech stack as your strong tech stack or your main tech stack, which you are pretty much familiar with and confident, and have a basic understanding of all the others, so that if your teammates are not on the same page as you can still collaborate with them and come up with solutions. And I guess, yeah, that's more than enough for JP Morgan.
Okay, so what are the topics that JP Morgan look for in programming, and is there any language that they prefer?
Okay, so I guess the topics which were there have been mentioned by all my fellow colleagues, where you said you have the array, basic DSA concepts, so the array, string, linked list, stacks, queues, and maybe trees and graph. And as far as the programming language is concerned, I don't think that there's a absolute specific programming language. You can code in any language you all are comfortable with. So that is up to you. But what we have, like what we got to know through the entire thing, is that they usually code in, like JP Morgan employees usually code in Java. So they have a certain, like when the mentor also took my interview, they asked me certain Java related questions. So yeah, that is there. But I guess for the coding round interview and any other further rounds also, there is no particular programming language in specific you should know. Any programming language is fine.
So I have a very panicked participant who has sent me that we have only 1 week for preparation for coding round. So where do I start solving these questions from?
Okay, so there are many platforms out there. So there's HackerRank, there is CodeChef, there is LeetCode. So what I'll suggest is that you can start with HackerRank. Right now, that's what I did. So it's one of my suggestions. Like you can start off, if you're absolute beginner, you can start off with HackerRank, build your skills up. They have a good set of questions that will prepare you for the entire coding round questions in 1 week, and you can basically focus on the basic CP questions. I don't think the JP Morgan interview coding round questions are that difficult.
Okay, so one of the most asked question was like, y'all like we were in online mode when these interviews happened, but right now the second year is offline. So there's the offline college. There's other competitive thing that they want to apply for. So how do they manage their time?
So what I'll suggest is that if you all have 1 week right now, maybe like obviously do attend your college and your lectures, academics regularly, but maybe after you all come back in the evening, you all can allocate a certain amount of time, and you all can do some at least 1 or 2 competitive coding questions every day. And I guess, as people mentioned, that you all can keep a notebook of all your solutions to like go through, or like just revise at the end of the day. Try learning like one concept, or try breaking up so that you are pretty much familiar with everything. So keep a dedicated allotted time, and try timing yourself while solving, because that will actually help, because in the final round when you'll give, there'll be a timer going on. So when you all are practicing also, like if you're just starting out, maybe try 1-2 questions without a timer, and then maybe try it in a timed environment of how things are working out. But I guess consistency is the key here. So 1 week you'll have to like work thoda hard and come up with the entire preparation.
Okay, so like Monica ma'am mentioned in the beginning, there were 400 enrollments this year.
Right.
So that means a lot of competition. So how does one stay ahead of their peers? Like how to have the edge over there?
Sure. So some great points about JP Morgan is they actually look for a lot of leadership and whether you're taking charge and whether you're a team player or not. So whenever you are like, if you're in the hackathon or if you are in the team, try taking up initiative, try being with everyone, try having a good rapport with your team mentor, and try helping the team in any way possible. That's the best you can do. And I guess the competition is tough. So for the first 2 rounds, at least the coding round, it's the how much ever time you can put right now, and if based on your level, do try to practice as many problems as you can.
Okay, so the next question is, should we focus more on competitive programming or on development?
Okay, so that question, as I mentioned earlier, it depends on what your current interest or where you stand in both. If you are more on the competitive coding side of it and you are pretty confident that you will be able to solve the first coding interview round, so maybe this is time for you to like look into the development side of stuff. And if you have more on the development side and have never seen competitive coding, don't worry, you still have time. You can start with basic CP questions, and I guess that will be more than enough. So it all depends on which area you are strong in currently. But I guess now, because you all will be having the coding round interview, I'll suggest like for this week at least, or if there are 10-15 days, try to focus on that, because passing the first 2 rounds is also pretty important before the hackathon starts.
Okay, so this one final question is that what's the core language where we can crack JPMC? I guess they mean like from which programming language would you suggest one to start from?
Okay, so like as I said, if you all are comfortable with, it's up to you all which language you all want to select. Any language is fine for cracking, but what I usually code in, I prefer C++ because it is fast also, and at the same time for competitive coding, it is one of the preferred programming languages. But again, stating it is my personal opinion, and like it is one of the preferred one. You can use any programming language you want.
Okay, so thank you, Josh. Those were some really great answers.
Thank you guys, and all the best for your interviews.
Over to you, Shru.
Thank you, Shreya. So next up we have Tushar Nantani. So adding to what just said, so if one has just started with CP, does he still stand a chance to crack JPMC?
Hi everyone. CP and DSA are usually used interchangeably. So I would firstly like to clear the difference between CP and DSA. So competitive programming is essentially DSA, but then CP does not have it does not cover a lot of data structures and algorithms. Usually when it says CP, the reason why it's competitive is because it has time involved, it has accuracy involved. So that's why it's called competitive programming. Moreover, in CP, there are more implementation-based questions, more observation-based questions, and they usually revolve around arrays and strings, bit manipulation, and not very high-level data structures, higher order data structures. Now coming to DSA, so DSA is like there's a context, there's like a menu for it. You can go step by step, trees, graphs, and for algorithms there are multiple types of algorithms. There's a list out there that you can go. So it's so CP, I would say, is a very organic process where you actually get to learn, but then CP does not cover a lot of data structures and algorithms. Now when it comes to interviews, DSA would be something like for DSA is more interview oriented, and CP is more like a sport. It's when you enjoy solving, if you enjoy problem solving. So at this point of time, I just think that you should stick to DSA, and if you start enjoying DSA, then add a competitive spirit to it. Like start solving, start giving contests. That's all.
So, for all the peers, what would be your best advice for the preparation of the internship?
For the internship, okay. So right now we are discussing about the process. For the internship, that's the later part of the stage again. So this whole process, this whole interview that's going on right now since the past 1 hour, it's split up into 3 parts. Essentially, right now the initial round, followed by the pre-hackathon period, and then followed by the current question that is before the interview. So for that interview, we are still we have had we have had a conversation with our seniors where they have told us the different types of departments. So it's kind of based on the departments we get at the end of the day. So again, I think someone mentioned that we have applied for a bunch of departments in our preference. So it's based on the department we get, and that's how we can prepare for it. So it's circumstantial. So let's see how it turns around.
So, in this, what are the types of questions asked in the virtual interview round?
Okay. So again, these questions are very dispersed. So again, all the participants here have heard a lot of perspectives. So I would just clarify the process. First is this DSA round, followed by the video interview, and after these 2 rounds, we have the final shortlisting, and then we go for the hackathon. So just have this timeline in mind. Now coming to the question about the video interview. So the video interview is going to be a recorded one. And now when I say recorded, there will be a question on your screen, and you'll have 30 seconds to read the question. Then you have to click on start recording and say the question is that give me one instance where you showed leadership skills. So where you led a team. So you start the recording, and you will have 2 minutes to speak. The video will be recorded on a browser. There's a platform for it, and then you can actually take a look. I'm not sure if you can look at the recording, but you know how the recording went like, right? So if the recording did not go well, then you can record it for another time. You have a second chance to record it, but then after that, you don't get any more chances. So I think you should give your best at your first try. Just don't even think about the second time, because the questions are very HR like. So you can predict those questions. So I think the types of questions you should think about are strengths and weaknesses, leadership skills, problem solving, time management, and communication, basically teamwork. And that's all.
So, everyone is behind CP, competitive programming. How did you prepare for competitive programming?
Again, like competitive programming is a sport. People prepare for DSA. People don't prepare for competitive programming. So again, as I just make sure everyone is well aware of the difference and when it's needed. So when you're preparing for interviews, DSA is needed. But if you want to do CP actually gives you that push to think, because there are a lot of factors involved. There are factors like time. So you actually have to there's a limited time frame, say 2 hours, and you actually have to solve a set of problems within those 2 hours. And then there is accuracy involved. So if you submit a wrong test case, so if there are less, if you get a wrong answer, basically you get a -1. So there is accuracy involved as well in competitive programming, right? So again, it's rather based on it's very circumstantial again, but I think at this point of time, DSA is the way to go for now.
So there was this question in the chat box. So did you prepare for competitive programming in just a certain period, or for you were studying competitive programming for a long time? Because they were asking like there is a time between code for good and the interview round. So is it okay if they practice over there?
Again, I think the person is confused with the timeline. We just have within the first thing will be the coding test, followed by I think within a week or so you'll have the video interview round, and then finally you have the hackathon. Now in hackathon, no one is going to ask about competitive programming. It's more based on your dev skills. So again, there are two goals in front of you. There's a short-term goal. That means hackathon can be figured out later. We all are here for you. All of us who are speaking right now, all of us can approach any of us, and we will be more than willing to sit with you after all of you are shortlisted. So once we have shortlisted, we can actually walk you through the hackathon, and we can help you out there. But for now, look at your short-term goal, and the short-term goal is getting shortlisted in the coding test that's coming. That's right in front of you. So I think focus on DSA for now, and that's all.
Thank you so much, Tushar, for your fruitful words, and I guess to help everyone.
Shruti, just 1 second. Again, I would just like to give a shout out to the CSI team, because last year we did not have something like this. So thank you. All of you are doing a great job. And that should be it. Thank you so much.
That's actually thank you to Monica ma'am. She was the one who insisted us to do this. Thank you so much. So next up we have Vivek. Hi Vivek.
Hi Shruti.
So let's start with the questions. So during the JPMC interview round, did they ask you to write the code, like the live coding thing?
No, the interview round was recorded as as everyone mentioned here. The interview round, there are basically what they do is they take your recorded interview round on a platform where you will be presented with 2 questions. For each question, there will be a time limit of I think 2 minutes and 30 seconds preparation time. Before that, you can record your answer twice if you didn't feel the first recording was proper enough or your voice was fluctuating or anything. So even the questions, so they didn't ask for any coding question. They didn't ask to code right then and there.
So can you give the description about how and what are the topics of the coding round of the JPMC?
So first of all, learn basic data structures like LinkedIn, stack, queue, then basic algorithms like binary search, sorting. The questions were pretty simple, not like even if you search these topics on any of the coding platforms like HackerRank or GFG, the question were in the top 5. You will find these questions in the first 5 questions only. Those were very basic. Like if you know how a linked list works, you will be asked like reverse a linked list. Then what is the endpoint of the linked list? Maybe the length of the linked list. Like these type of questions. And yeah, those were the questions. And both of the questions were easy. There was 1 hour total time frame. Most of us were done with them in like 20 minutes. But you just focus on it. Like don't be make yourself familiar with HackerRank also, because a lot of students didn't even know about the test cases scenario, as well as TLV. What is TLV? Time window exceeded. So those things are really important, because there will for each question there will be 24 or 12 test cases, and your code will be tested on each of the test cases. Now by so like if you have done previously coding on these platforms, you know what a TLV means. You won't get panicked on the last moment. So your test your code will be run through all these test cases, and you will be showed how many test cases have passed. So yeah, the thing is means like learn some basic algorithms and like make yourself familiar with these terms and hacking platform. Yeah.
So there is one question that the person has started the competitive coding from lead code right now. So, but it when he started, it was very tough. So, is there something he should do for first before going to the lead code directly?
Acha, so I never personally used the lead code guide until now. I mostly do on course. See, CP, as for me, I'll say I did not even know that there are benefits from CP. I didn't even know that this is called CP.
I just saw that there are some platform which provides question, and you have to you have to build solutions which will be passed in certain time limit. And I started this because I like this. Okay. So if you are planning, if you're thinking that yeah, you are preparing CP for an interview or something, then that is not that you should go with DSA. DSA is a catalog of algorithms, and interview questions are based on DSA. Basically, you have to look at the question and identify which DSA algorithm fits here. That is the challenge. CP is a different thing. CP doesn't need you to know all these algorithms. CP perfects your problem solving skills, which helps you as a programmer in general. So I would suggest don't just learn some basic syntax of any language. Go to any of this platform, start solving, see editorials, spend some time, make sure you're improving. That's how you can go about it if you want to do CP.
So the next question is actually related to resume. So is it better to glorify or to tone down them and only mention the very few topics which one you are really confident about?
Yeah, so yeah, I would. Okay, can you repeat the question once again? Your
Yeah.
voice fluctuates. Yeah.
So is it better to glorify achievements on resume or to tone them down and only mention the very few topics which you are very confident about?
Yeah, as for the achievements, I didn't really have had any achievements on my resume at that time. So show your projects. Show if you have. Show well, don't put anything fake there. Let's say you have made 5 or 6 projects. Pick those which in which you have contributed the most. Means if they ask you about a project, then you should be able to explain the process, or at least your part of the project, if it's a hackathon or a team project or an MPR project. So put those on your resume. Then yeah, that is it. And I didn't really put any achievement section, so I'm not really sure about it.
So what types of project you actually added in your resume?
Yeah, so my projects, okay. So my projects, what I did was I had at that time I had really basic HTML, CSS, JavaScript projects from my MPR, and along with that I did a course on Jovian.ai. What that was a deep learning course. So what I did was I just picked their notebooks, their course and project, and put it here. But the thing was, I knew how to explain that, even though that was a course and project. I knew A to Z work, like how it was working. So what I did was I picked 3 domains: data visualization, machine learning, and web development, which I knew at that time. I was beginner, but I put each like variety of projects, each in one of these fields. So that was it.
So after this interview round, there is a coding round, that is code for good. So can you use the code editor like IDEA, VS Code, etc. in that round?
In which round? Like hackathon?
Yeah, hackathon, code for good.
Yeah, of course you can. In any hackathon, the coding is done on any basically. It's not like you can even copy the code from somewhere. So what hackathon is essentially, you have given it the problem statement. There will be NGOs mostly for the hackathon, so you have to build a solution. They didn't expect. You can use any designing platform like Figma, any code editor, VS Code, anything you want. They really didn't expect you to like build a full-fledged, because my product even wasn't fully ready. It's your idea, it's your thought process that matters, it's your effort that matters. It's what during the mentor session, during the hackathon, they didn't really, at least for me, they didn't ask any technical question, not even how insertion sort was at the very basic I'm talking about. So what they do ask is, what are you thinking right now? Suppose like for me, my case was like, uh, I learned Django, but my team selected Node. So basically, she was asking like, how are you feeling right now? What are your approach to this? situation. They want the qualities that they are looking for is versatility, communication. Not don't like leadership. If you have leadership skills, that's excellent. But at the very minimum, communicate in the team when even when mentor is present or not present. Don't keep a professional and friendly workspace there, friendly environment there. When the mentor asks question, tell them honestly how you feel. Even if they will try to judge even if you're panicked, if you're against something, if you're with something, what are your how do you feel about your team? How is your team? So answer those questions properly. Yeah, that would I say.
So there was one question, like for the interview round.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for the interview round? So, and to be ahead of someone.
Acha, so I didn't really prepare for an interview round. What I did was I wrote some 10 lines about giving my intro. I thought that would come, but that didn't really come. The reason was only 5 to 6 questions were repeated, were repeating from person to person. Those were like, I'll tell you. So like tell us about a situation where you took initiative when your team was panicking, and how do you calm down your team. Tell us about a situation where you didn't know about how to tackle the problem, but you still made efforts and completed. Tell us about a situation where you complete the work which was like a lot of work before deadline or after deadline by convincing your teachers and everything. So these type of questions basically to judge your thinking, judge your team skills, judge your leadership skills. So those kind of questions were there. So I didn't really prepare for it. Yeah.
Okay, the last question. What is the JP Morgan's work environment like?
See, I didn't really work there. We had a session with our senior who is working there, and even from some medium blogs from the people who are working there, their environment is actually pretty good. They that the line that I heard the most is, you don't really need to be a master at something. Just show that you are interesting. If you are if you have learned web development, and suppose one of your whatever manager, whatever the co-worker or senior there told you to ask you to can you do this cloud computing thing, can you do this backend thing. If you are a front-end developer, don't just say yeah, I'm not I don't know really at all. You should be you should show your enthusiasm, show that you are interested in things. That's actually that matters. It is the according to what I heard, it is the best company for to start you, like to be your first company, to grow yourself while working there. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Vivek. I hope everyone will be taking your advice. So the next up, and the last one we have Unnati Sorati.
Hello. Shruti, I can't hear you. Shreya, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I guess Shruti is having some network issues. So, okay, we'll take over. So the first question for you is how many problems should we solve to get shortlisted in online assessment?
Okay, so there's no fixed number of questions like I can prescribe you. It will depend on your level of preparation. So some person might need like it will depend from person to person. So a person might need like 10 to 20 questions to master a topic, whereas other person can need like 30 to 40 questions. So it depends. So you need to practice as much as you can, and once you feel confident about that topic, then you can move to next topic. So that's how you can go about it.
Okay, so the next question is a bit tricky. So it states, how do we require master knowledge for internships?
if it's about cracking the internship, not really. Like as all my other peers mentioned, you need not have have to master anything. JPMC people already know that you are currently studying in second year, so they set their expectations accordingly. In fact, in my code for good round, some of my team members only knew HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and so they worked on the front end. So you really need not be a master of something. Like good enough tech knowledge is enough, according to me.
Okay, so the next question is recurring, but we'd like to know your stance on it. So, since there's a short period for them to prepare, so what would be their go-to plan? Like, what would you suggest for them?
Yeah, right now, since I guess you guys would be having a week or two, so the essay questions, like the basic concepts as others mentioned, like arrays, linked list, and all, you guys can practice that on HackerRank. I would suggest you all to practice on HackerRank because the JPMC test takes place on HackerRank itself. So you guys should be well versed with it. Like if you have used HackerRank before, so you would know that there's some pre-written code in it, and you have to add your own code to it. So you should get used to it. So in order to do that, you need to practice on HackerRank. So I would suggest you all to practice on HackerRank and focus on basic concepts of DSA. So if you're an IT student, then you might have learned DSA in last, and that is the third sem itself. So if you have done that part properly, I think a week or two is enough for cracking JPMC's coding round. I mean the DSA round. Yeah.
Okay, so the next question would be, what was your experience with the JPMC team and the entire process? Like the others mentioned, the mentors and all. So how was your experience?
Okay, so my experience was really good. Like the mentors were really friendly. And the one thing I would like to tell you all, that in JPMC, you need not call anyone with sir or ma'am. You can directly address them by their name. So that's how friendly they are. And in the code for good, I would suggest that show your leadership qualities and be humble and polite and try to help all your teammates. And by leadership qualities, I did not mean that you need to boss up or something like that, but rather I meant that take initiative where you can. Wherever you get an opportunity, take initiative and do the part.
Okay, so if you had to give one key, like a mantra or something to the students who are preparing right now, what would be your one keynote highlight? Do this to really get to the mode of that JPMC interview.
Right now, the focus should be on cracking the coding and the virtual interview round. So the first is the coding round. So right now, you should focus on DSA. And once the coding round is done, you can start prepping for the virtual interview round. So for that, you can practice basic HR questions, like the questions that were asked to us were something like, what was an instance where you took an initiative and did something different on some project, or what was a difficulty that you faced in your project, and what did you learn from it? So you can practice something like that for that. And hackathon part is later on. So till then, right now your focus should be clearing the first round, which includes the DSA round and the virtual hackathon. So right now, give your best is what I can say. Like you have enough time, though it's just 1 or 2 weeks, but you can definitely get through it. And in the one more tip I would like to give for the virtual interview round, since there's no interviewer, so you can really be confident. Otherwise, what it happens if you are giving a actual interview, then the interviewer might interrupt you, or your answer would differ based on the reaction of the interviewer. But here, as it's a recorded interview, so you can be really confident with what you are saying. And while you are confident, also be humble enough and keep smiling while you give those answers. So yeah, and give your best.
Okay, so the next question is like this person is, I think, really frustrated. So he does not know anything about development. Okay, he does not know where to start. So, and there's a gazillion resources online. So, what would your suggestion be for someone who wants to begin and get into development? Like, what resources or what steps should he take?
Okay, so development part you will require for Code for Good. So for that, after you clear this first round, what you can do is you can start with front end as it's easy. And I guess everyone would have learned HTML, CSS somewhere in their life. So you can brush them up, and then according to the language you are comfortable in. For example, as Paranda said, if you're comfortable with Python, then take up Django, and you can learn that framework and practice the practice development. And if you're comfortable with JavaScript now, then you can take up Merge Stack. So yeah, you will have enough time to prep for the code for good, like at least a month or two. So you can focus on web development part later on.
Okay, thank you so much, Unnati. Those were some really
Thank
great answers. So now I'd like to call upon
Yeah,
all
all
our
the best,
speakers.
everyone.
Yeah, all our speakers for the day, and I'd request all the participants to send in their questions in the chat box. Anything that you all have, this is a one-time opportunity right now, so feel free to send in all your questions. And yeah, Tushar, you wanted to add something, I guess. You can
Yes.
go ahead.
Super excited to tell this. I know we got a set of opinions, set of perspectives right now, and all of us are talking in the private chat box that बहुत कुछ सुन लिया आज. So let's take a breather right now. Let's take it easy, and let's just go step by step. Short-term goal is your interview, is your aptitude test, right? Is your coding test, right? So a few pointers you have heard, hacker rank bahut sun liya, DSA sun liya, CP sun liya. Just a few pointers that I missed out was you can't copy paste your snippet. So I use a template, right? Coding template. So I copied it to my clipboard because it makes me faster when I type my code. So I copied and pasted it. Even the for loop that you have written earlier, you can't copy and paste it, because as soon as you paste it, it says that you can't paste any snippet. So that goes, so warning goes to the recruiter. It says that if you do it one more time or two more times, the warning will go to the recruiter. So don't do that. Then coming to the video interview round, for the video interview round, the different Unnati mentioned a great point that there is no interviewer. So leverage that point. Leverage that there is going to be no interview. You can prepare yourself. But the trick there is that a lot of people tend to prepare their answers, which is all right. Even I did that. But then don't read those answers, even though there's a difference between reading something very enthusiastically. It looks, so maybe try to have that, that gesture that you're thinking and speaking. So make sure you do that while speaking. And coming to the hackathon, again, hackathon is a long game. You'll have a decent amount of weeks to prepare for your hackathon. So as for now, I'll be just a shameless plug, but I'll be sending an article right now which speaks about all of this, what we spoke about, all of this, technically all of this, except the hackathon. So for the hackathon, what we did was, so all of us got shortlisted, 25 people got shortlisted for the hackathon. And I did not know a lot of people there. So I wanted to give a mock hackathon. So I think on the panel, we have Vivek, we have Parinda, and we have Rishika, who's not on the panel right now. But all four of us, I did not know all of them back then. So we decided to give a mock hackathon. So we found a hackathon on MLH. MLH is Major League Hacking. There are a bunch of hackathons out there happening every weekend. And that's when we built, we coordinated, we actually spoke, and we knew that we knew each other, but we'll make sure that we are professional with each other while speaking. We also used github.com/the projects part. We made sure that we are following a proper workflow. So that gave us a really great idea of how a hackathon is going to look like. So it's going to be really fun, and the best part, all four of us who gave the mock hackathon made it through. So all of us are just very happy that this happened. So just a lot of stories to cherish, and at the end of the day, just take it easy, take a breather. Parinda's mantra is just breathe, man. Just just breathe. It's okay, and that's all for the day. If you have more questions, then we have some questions here. I got a private message. How much time do we have for one question in the video interview? Is it possible to try recording on a device and first then on their platform? Okay, that brings me to another point, that if there are a set of questions, again in that article I mentioned a few questions. I think even Isha had a few questions. Isha, can you paste it in the chat box? Those two questions.
If any one of you guys remember, we had around 4 questions. So 2 were for practice, right? And the other 2 were the official ones. So if any one of you remembers, then it would be helpful for them. Because even I remember the 2 that Isha has sent.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
Isha,
Yes, those were the final questions which were there. The practice question, I don't think any of us remembers right now.
Yeah,
so
because practice question, I don't think I remember. I remember the 2 questions that Isha have pasted, right?
So I just remember the one with communication barrier. One was that if you faced a communication barrier in your life while leading a team, or so basically these questions, I'll just paste them in the chat box.
I like to add. Okay, go ahead.
Vivek, no, go on.
So as like Tushar said earlier, don't copy paste your template. Along with that, be sure to turn off notification or like turn on the focus mode if you get any notifications. The mistake I did was we all of us have a habit of alt tab, right? So my hand automatically goes there. So if you do that, then there will be a warning that you tried to switch tab. Along with that, there's if you press shift 2 or 3 times simultaneously, there will be a notification saying do you want to activate sticky keys. So be aware of that as well. Yeah, that's all.
Basically, your tab should not be disabled. So if you click outside on the start bar or something, even if you press the start menu, then it gives a warning. Don't be scared, but yeah, don't do it often. I pressed alt tab too. So yeah, for the video interview, I was saying, why don't you practice? Why don't you start a recording right now? Like open your cameras and play a video, and make sure you have a 2-minute timer, because there will be a 2-minute timer on your screen during that. So what you can do right now is just start recording and speak for 2 minutes about the questions that we have just pasted in the chat box. So usually they will revolve around them. So make sure that you have one instance in your head that you have led in your previous experiences. So
even I would like to add on to this. So what I did was that I made my answers revolve around personal experiences, so that makes your answers look good. Okay.
Yeah, adding to what Parinda.
Yeah, so I mean, just like they need to know what your experience has been. So one question was that what was the mistake, or the, like Tushar said, what was the communication barrier that you faced, particularly in your past experience or any of your past projects in your academics. So what I did was that I told them that in one of my past internships, I was asked to make a chatbot, which was supposed to be a feedback chatbot, but I did not ask my boss what it should be, and I just assumed it to be an FAQ bot, because that is much more common. And I went on and I made the chatbot, but then later on it was a waste of time, energy, vagara vagara. So try to keep your answers anything and everything close to what you have gone through. Even if you want to make it up, you can. White lies are okay, but just be confident with whatever you are saying. I would say that. Yeah, Kevin, you were saying?
Yeah, I was saying the same thing, that my answers were also revolving around the personal experiences. So because it becomes relatable to them as well, like you are sharing your personal experience and it doesn't seem like you have memorized all the answers. So make sure you take the pauses and everything. कि memorize ना लगे बस. वो देखना है तुमको, स्मार्टली खेलना है इंटरव्यू राउंड में.
One thing I'd like to add is don't forget to add your achievements in those interviews. Like whenever you're talking about कुछ भी छोटा भी achievement होगा mention कर दो तो they notice what for one of my projects I had written a research paper back then तो मैंने वो डाल दिया था. And I think you get 3 minutes. I'm not sure, but we were talking for 3 minutes.
I guess 1 minute
2 minutes.
for
2 minutes. It was
हाँ.
30 seconds for prep and then 2 minutes to speak.
20.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes.
And just one thing about the hackathon, if you are doing work in the hackathon, make sure your mentor notices that.
Yeah.
When
Please
the
show
mentor
your
is
work.
not, when the mentor is not around, if you don't work, that's totally fine. But when he is around, you have to work. Every one of us has done this.
I think we need to enlighten them about all of the politics as well. But I think we should do it later on.
Once people have been shortlisted.
Because we have so much to share. I mean,
For now, don't think about the hackathon actually, because next 15 days only practice basic questions. It is important for you to be confident on that day. So don't plan that I solve 20 questions, 30 questions for arrays, 30 for strings. You know that is not going to happen. So set a target that is achievable. That will help you be confident on that day. So focus just to keep a boundary. I'll practice 15 questions for arrays, 15 for strings. That's enough. That's more than enough. That's not the number that you have to go for. Set a number for yourself and stick to it. That's the most important thing at this point.
So I got a DM for non-tech related internship for finance. So again, if you don't have anything apart from that, like if you don't have anything to fill on your resume, then sure, go ahead, fill in a non-tech internship. So feel free to do that. Then about copy paste, I think someone asking me to repeat it. So what I mean is essentially that if you are writing for I equal to 0, I less than n, whatever. So what I tried to do is I copied that for loop and pasted it again. So that's like, just don't use a snippet, just don't use the control V. And as for do we have to code only function of the DSA or we have to write the code from scratch? We'll have to write the code from scratch in the coding test. It's not going to be like how HackerRank's questions are. So no, wait, I think we had snippets, right? We had to fill in. Yeah.
You just have to write the function.
You will have to write the in the function.
Erase the code they have given because they are handling the input and output. Because you'll get errors in input output even if your function is correct if you erase the code.
So I guess this was our experience. We also are not technically aware of how your coding interviews will be this time because everything is offline. I guess for us, this was the pattern. So yeah.
And make sure that you have the language selected right, because I know 1 or 2 participants, they are trying to use STL and C language. So just make sure that you have selected the right language.
So I guess those were all the questions. So thank you to all of the speakers and all the participants. I hope you all fill the feedback form. Over to you, Shruti.
I just have one more question which came in my DM. Someone has written that can we give our coding test in phone? Like, can we do CP from a phone? So
I do you want to?
Yeah, don't do it. It's not recommended because your camera would be taken into consideration and you will have to code while your camera is on.
Yeah. And
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, another question. Can you please elaborate other than linked list, string, array, which DSA topics to cover? So I would rather instead of giving you a list, rather just go to HackerRank, click on that problem solving section and just start doing questions. It covers pretty much your problem solving skills. There is no criteria, there is no list that we can give you, but just start with the problem solving section and just any language you're comfortable with, because HackerRank has each and every language that there is.
But I do say that, just to add on that, just be familiar with like the basic stack queue and everything. Like just don't go with certain only linked list and strings. So like be aware of everything. Just solve 1-2 questions. That will be fine.
And you can find questions on sites like there are so many questions on Geeks for Geeks and people give their past experiences. So just go and find questions. That would be really helpful.
And final question after the hackathon process, how many people are selected for the JPMC internship? Now, this question is going to freak you out. This answer is going to freak you out. So just remember the statistics for it's completely variable. Deutsche Bank selected about 20 people last year. This time they selected 2. So the number is scary. But for our hackathon, I think 20 people were shortlisted. But after that, some people are in the waitlist as well. So people can be pushed up from waitlist as well. So I think at the end of the day, there were 25 people who went for the hackathon, and even for the internship, I think 10 to 11 people got in, but I think 1-2 were it's still in the waitlist because people deny their offer letters. So you still have a chance. So these are the numbers for
and there is no limit. They can have 50 people as well. If you perform well, there is no limit at this college. We'll only take 10 people or 15 people. Don't worry about
it. It depends totally on your performance, as we say in the hackathon, and they'll it doesn't matter if you win the hackathon or not, because from us only Vinisha won the hackathon, but none of us won the hackathon. But our individual performances mattered, so that's also matters. So don't be scared that if you haven't won the hackathon, you won't get an internship.
But I guess they select like at least 2 people from a team. That was the statistics what we had. So every team, I guess, it will consist of 6 to 7 people, and 2 will be selected. So
and even more, like from my team, I guess 4.
Exactly.
4.
and that's what, at least 2, I guess that was the
at least 2 was the statistics that we were told by our seniors. So it can
also,
vary.
Did we tell them that how we were judged in the hackathon? Like there are 2 mentors.
We haven't
given
that trauma.
We should do it later on.
Yes,
They freak out. They freak out right now.
Yeah, that's a big trauma. I have just one more question in my chat, I guess.
Yes,
Can someone please share important DSA topics to practice if someone hasn't started DSA in 1 week? What topics to cover?
Kevin, I'd like to say something over here. I have observed that सब बहुत डर गए हैं DSA. I tell you guys, Kevin and I, both of us, we did not do a single question. So this is not something that you should do, not advisable, but just to calm you guys down, JPMC का जो first question था was the first ever question that we ever solved. So chill, थोड़ा chill करके करो. Do not freak out. Just be calm. It's okay if you do not know it. You still have plenty of days to do it. So chill.
उसमें थोड़ा luck factor भी आ जाता है. मैंने एक क्वेश्चन अपने कोड टेस्ट के थोड़े टाइम 15-20 मिनट पहले देखा एंड सिमिलर क्वेश्चन आया तो इजीली सॉल्व हो गया. अभी किसी ने नहीं देखा तो नहीं होगा. तो मैंने और परिंदा का प्रोसेस पूरा ऐसा ही था कोडिंग राउंड का. तो जस्ट चिल मारो. डोंट टेक सो मच प्रेशर कि डीएसए करना ही है. हाँ, यू ऑल हैव टू डू इट, बट अगर अभी तक चालू नहीं किया, यू ऑल स्टिल हैव टाइम. So just don't panic.
I got a DM. STL C++ का लेटेस्ट वर्जन में चल जाएगा, तो वो ले लेना. उसमें STL चल जाता है.
Now, as
I
for
got another question. There is in the chat. How many teams are selected for Code for Good? It's not teams actually. It's number of participants. So I guess around from all over India. अभी statistics बोल रहा हूँ तो डरना मत. कोई डरना मत statistics सुन के. So हाँ, around 8 to 9,000 students had applied for JPMC. From that, 600 or 400, 600, right? 600 were selected for Code for Good hackathon, and after the hackathon, only 200 had got the internship. So this is the statistics. It's not about the team. They can even add 10 people or subtract 10 people based on whatever they feel like. So they don't have an upper limit or a lower limit. They just go according to whatever candidates they get.
And there was an article today in the paper. They said they are going to recruit a lot of people in JP Morgan today. So you guys are in that.
So
expect कि ज़्यादा लोग होंगे इस बार.
हो जाएंगे.
But then हाँ, ज़्यादा खुश भी मत होना, ज़्यादा don't get stressed. Just have a balance. Take a breather. Yes.
And another thing is they select on the basis of both the rounds, like the technical round and the interview round.
Yeah.
If your technical round, like the coding round is not good, like don't lose hope. जो interview round है वो भी अच्छे से देना, like give your best there. Maybe उनको interview अच्छा लगे तो they'll select.
Because I guess in our year also people who solved only one question, right, got through the interview round also. So yeah, it depends.
Yep.
And I've got one more question. Everyone gets the same question in the first coding round. Yeah, for us,
Yeah.
everyone had got the same common 2 questions. So it might change this year or not. We aren't sure about that. But I guess more or less all will be getting same questions so that they have a, they can judge accordingly, because if the questions are different, they'll need a normalization process and everything.
Okay, someone has asked me regarding what did we write in our cover letter.
Yeah. I would like to say that. Just do you want to take
Go
that?
ahead, Tushar.
Yeah. So for any internship, not just for JPMC, cover letters are always optional. Always write a cover optional. Take that extra step. Take that extra effort. Always write a cover letter. And when I say cover letter, give them what you haven't written in your resume. If you haven't mentioned that one project, if you have built 10 projects, tell that you have built projects around these domains, around React, around whatever. Mention your skills, mention your stack that you must have missed. So just focus more on what you are not giving in your resume. You're just giving your technical part, right? Maybe tell about how good you are in communication. Tell them that you're looking forward to this internship. So in your cover letter, just make sure just a sample. You don't have to write pages. No one has time to read that. Just write an intro line, your basic skill set, followed by your soft skills maybe, and then that's it. Thank you. So just have that eagerness. When I say eagerness, I also mean it in speaking, but also taking that extra step to write a cover letter.
Yeah.
But it's still like optional, like what Tushar mentioned, it's optional. You all can go ahead with your resumes also. That's still fine. That just adds, the cover letter just adds to your entire profile. That's it.
Someone has asked me in the chat, like, will the coding test this time be from college or home? I'm not sure.
I guess that
exactly.
Not the right.
Monica ma'am can answer. One more question I've got. Many of us did not put our photos in our resume. So will our application get rejected because they asked for the photo?
Not at all.
I don't think that's the case. If your photos, if your resumes would get rejected, you all will get a notification from the college ki, हाँ, your application is rejected. But I don't think they reject just on the basis that photo nahi hai karke.
So I guess we are done with all questions. So thank you everyone for your valuable words. So I hope tricks and tips will help them to get through this whole process. So on behalf of CSI-TSEC, we thank each and everyone for joining in. Thanks to Monica ma'am, and the feedback form is shared. So please take your 2 minutes of time from your preparation and fill it. Thank you so much and all the best for your journey.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye guys, all the best.
Good luck, guys.
All the best.